Ric Flair. Would you believe that Ric Flair has... Go on.
I think a lot of people don't know about this.
No, it only happened recently as well. So
I know, but I don't even think they know who the comedian is.
Okay, so I'll tell you what then. I'll best do a bit of reading out
Explain this, because I didn't know who the comedian was.
So, a chap called Brent Mason actually sent us... it was very prescient. I know you like that word.
I do like that word.
Timing. He emailed last week and we read his question out on Tuesday's episode about a man called Tony Hinchcliffe, who's a comedian, who had announced that Ric Flair and he were going to do a series of podcasts in front of a live audience, and it was going to be a little series, and that it just kept not happening and not happening and not happening. Anyway, a few days ago, a video was released, or a couple of days ago, I can't remember, and it's a show called The Goat and the Pony with comedian Tony Hinchcliffe. He gave us, Brent, thank you very much, he gave us a really good write-up of this as well. Now, the format of this show, The Goat and the Pony, is essentially they get comedians from the audience pretty much to do like 1 minute set. And then if they like it or they don't like it, and then, you know, they rate it, and if they like them, maybe join him on stage, that kind of thing. The guest of this week was Ric Flair.
But he wasn't a comedian, he was just a guest on the panel.
Well, people were laughing at him.
I understand that, but but he didn't get up and try to do a set, right?
Exactly, no. He was sort of like the guest panelist of the week. So, would you like me to read the summation that Brent has written us, or would you like to take over?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, then. So, Kill Tony is a podcast filmed weekly at a comedy club in Austin, Texas, in front of a live audience. Tony Hinchcliffe has a prominent stand-up comedians as guest judges each week. The format of the show is that anyone can put their name in the bucket, and if their name gets pulled, then they have to do 1 minute of stand-up comedy. Then after their minute, they are interviewed and critiqued by Tony and his guests. Lots of jokes are made at the expense of the comics, who do their minute by Tony and the guest judges. Some of the jokes can be brutal. It is all done in the name of comedy, giving up and coming... I'm reading this by the giving up and coming comedy prospects a shot at getting discovered. Now, Rick was the first guest judge introduced last night, and the crowd was very much into him at first. Rick never seemed to really understand the concept of the show. He was speaking off topic, texting on his phone, and had no interest in being on stage when he wasn't the focal point. At one point, the comic judges thought Ric Flair had fallen asleep, but he was just texting. And I think one of them started calling him Fun Joe Biden at one point as well.
Okay.
Where are we? So at one point, the comic judges thought Rick had fallen asleep, but he was just texting. He was also drinking and had been drinking prior to the show. As Tony
drinking?
Would you believe it?
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I don't mean to interrupt, but
it's fine. Tony explained that he tried to tell Rick the premise of the show 7 beers earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing, I can read more, but I'll leave it at this. The show is never heavily edited, but last night's was. They had to cut around Rick's rambling several times. Now, you told me you watched about 20 minutes of this, so what did you see and what did you think of it?
I saw Ric Flair sitting there, and he's drinking as usual. And he got up finally and just walked off stage. He made some kind of trying to make a speech about something, and
it was about his dead son. He kept bringing up Reed Flair, his dead son.
Yeah,
it's meant to be a comedy show.
It's supposed to be a comedy show, but he kept bringing up Reed, his son, who passed away on a drug overdose, and it was just a classic failure. Where can people find this?
They can find it on YouTube, The Goat and the Pony. Just search Tony Hinchcliffe, Ric Flair, you'll find it. But the entire episode is up, and it's like, I really, really, like, if I know something really embarrassing is going to happen, and then someone tries to tell me to watch it, I can't do it. But I did watch this, and it's like, he starts talking, like, dead seriously about, he's pissed as a fart, drunk, by the way, and that's how we say it over here. And then at some point when he starts bringing up Reed again and talking about his son who died, one of the in-house band starts playing sad music on the piano.
Now that's a little bit, they shouldn't have done that, but Rick he embarrassed himself and got up and left. So if you haven't seen it, which I don't think you have, anybody, go and watch it, draw your own conclusion. And it's just another thing in the long line of Ric Flair embarrassments, I think. See, Ric Flair is over. He knows he's over. People like him. If he would just shut the hell up sometimes, stop the drinking. And I thought after he had his heart attack and everybody thought he was going to die, he gave up drinking. Oh, I'm not going to do it anymore. You know, I think he wants to die with a drink in his hand, which is his right, I guess. But if you want to try to get better, don't ask people to feel sorry for you if you're not trying to help yourself. But anyway, this was another look inside the world of Ric Flair, and it's interesting. But you say a lot of things about Rick, but one thing you can't say he's boring.
He's good material for the podcast. I'll give you that.
Because he's not boring. He's not. So, but I'm glad you found that. Now the people through the efforts of you, I'm going to put you over here, James. Through the efforts of you, all the people can look into probably something you wouldn't have seen.
Well, to the efforts of Brent Mason also for giving us that write-up as well. Let's mention one more thing about Ric Flair. Obviously, he's on some sort of slow public spiral to the bottom. But, I mean, when he tried to come back with that podcast with Mark Madden for a bit, and he managed to, and Mark Madden even said, I knew when we started this would be the end of our 30-year friendship, because he's just off the deep end. And then he started doing the podcast with Conrad again. And a lot of people posited that because Ric Flair is his father-in-law, Conrad's really, he has to do it. He's obligated to kick up this podcast again with Rick. And keep in mind, Rick is not a good podcaster.
I would like to see, and I think the people would too, I'd like to see you do a podcast with Ric Flair.
It'd be too annoying. I'd have to do it really early in the morning, catch him when, you know what I mean? When he's still hungover.
Oh, that's the worst time. He's still asleep. He don't get up before 1.
Maybe, but...
I would love to see that.
But even Conrad isn't doing podcasts with him really anymore. So it's like, what's going on with Rick? He's been given basically the gift of life a second time.
If the news came out tomorrow, God forbid it happening, but Ric Flair died of a heart attack, would you be surprised?
No,
I wouldn't be surprised either. I hope it doesn't happen, but he's not trying to help himself. I don't think he gives a shit. I don't think he does. And I think he goes out and he does this on purpose.
You think?
But because he don't care.
I know, but this is, are you of the opinion that all publicity is good publicity kind of thing? Because this
No, I'm not.
Because that's going to cost him some bookings, surely.
Yeah, I don't. Listen, I think Rick should try to upgrade his stature a little bit, but he don't care. I don't know who handles his stuff. He didn't handle his own stuff, does he?
No, he's got to have a manager, surely.
Does his wife do it?
Ex-wife, you mean?
No, he's married again, isn't he? Married to?
No, divorced again. I think they are anyway. Hope they're not just separated, but I thought he got divorced a fifth time.
I thought it was Conrad's daughter or something.
What?
No.
The last woman he married was she played Fifi the maid in WCW in 1993, and then somehow they linked back up after 20 odd years.
Okay, what is his connection to Conrad?
Conrad married his eldest daughter, I think.
That's where I reversed that. Okay, I got it. So, but good luck, Rick. I love you, brother. I love you.